All right, let's do this. How's everyone doing this week? That's great. That's great. I didn't even give you a chance to answer, but I know you're doing great. Welcome to this week's episode of our podcast, Is Breakfast Included? I want to start off by saying thank you to anyone who ordered one of our shirts from our merch store, isbreakfast.bigcartel.com. Wow. Thank you, thank you, thank you. If you did order one, send us a picture. We might post it. Never know. Might give you something else too, but probably not. We're broke. On the show this week, I sit down with a bona fide legend, Mr. Doug Pinnick of the band kingsx, one of my favorite bands and probably one of your favorite bands. Even if you've never heard them, you should check them out. Doug answered all my questions from their humble beginnings in Missouri to being labeled a Christian band, to being Christians and then getting out of that whole scene, to doing what they do. They created an entire genre all their own, and just about every band that came after them kind of bit their shit. But he's not worried about it, man. Doug knows who he is. He answered all my questions, including a couple of questions I've always wanted to ask him since I was a little child. And he got a kick out of one of them. I had a lot of fun with him, and I'm even a more big or bigger, whichever one of those two is grammatically correct. I'm a bigger fan of his now. All right, let's check it out. Doug Pinnick. So how's it going, man?
We got it. I have no complaints. The world is ending, and nothing's ever going to change, and everything's going to change, and everybody's worried, and we don't know what the next second's going to bring. And so why are we wasting our time? Okay, that's how I'm doing.
If you can fix it, don't worry. And if you can't fix it, why worry? Right?
You know, it just kind of makes sense at this point, because there's so much, the information that we are given is so much now. The access that we have to information, and it's just terrifying.
Yeah.
And everybody's running scared.
Yeah.
Or like chickens just pecking at the ground, looking for anything to fight over, you know?
Yeah.
Anyway, that was deep. Rock and roll, right?
Hey, we can only go up from there.
Yes, you can.
Hey, so you're in LA, correct?
Yes.
Did you guys were you part of the LA that got snow yesterday?
Nope. I mean, I can drive 8 miles and friends are under snow, but yeah, the thing about California is, like it's always been told, is you can go skiing at 9 a.m. and go to the beach at 7 p.m. And go swimming, and it's the same thing. It's like there's parts of the country that are 10 feet under snow, and we're here, got the sun shining, and ain't nothing going. You know, everything is fine. We had a lot of rain, which we needed. We've had a drought for the last 5 or 6 years.
Yeah.
So we have more water than we need, and when the next rain, whatever that rainy thing, what do they call it, the atmospheric rivers, there's another one coming in like a week. They say that when it rains, though, then we're going to flood, because we've got 10 feet of snow up in the mountains. It's got to wash down through the valley. So we'll see what happens. You know what I mean? It's like it's. Yeah. I look at life this way: live from day to day, but be prepared.
Yeah. I was out there in September. We were out there doing some shows, and the night of the first show, it rained heavily, and the cats at the venue were like, "This is the first time it's rained in months."
Yeah.
So
it's crazy.
Yeah. Hey man, what took you out to LA? You were in Texas, correct?
Yeah. LA's the place to be. Where else is there to go? You know, if you want to make music, you want to network, you want to hang out with everybody that you know, this is the place. You know, it's expensive as hell, but living in Texas, you know, being there for 30 years now, it's like everybody grew up, everybody got married, everybody had kids. All the bands, the way we used to hang out and do things was gone. You know, it was like, you know, new generations coming, and I was getting older and not a part of it anymore, and just felt like there's nothing there for me in Houston. You know, I mean, it's just another city. It's not like got this huge music scene or a place where you really want to go.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, you know, as they say, if I lived in Austin, it would have been a little bit better. You know, because Austin, like, I know everybody there too, and I used to hang out in Austin a lot, and I love I love the musicians and all the stuff that goes on there. You know, Sixth Street. You know, every Friday and Saturday night, uh, they lock off 6 blocks on Sixth Street,
Yeah.
and people in the street all night long. And there's just every 5 minutes or every few steps, there's a bar, there's a band playing. You know,
Yeah.
well, it's like Nashville. You go down Nashville, it's the same thing.
Yeah. They're on
Um,
Broadway.
but you know, LA seems, you know, I like LA better because there's no scene here anymore. You know, that's over. But everybody that I know lives here, and everybody comes here. You know, this is just a place. This is the meeting place of the artists. I think. I
Right
love
on,
it
man.
here. I love it here.
I would ask you what the differences between Texas and LA are, but I grew up in
Yeah, yeah.
Corsicana.
Oh, okay. Well, then you probably have the same. Oh, do you live there still?
No, I live in New Jersey now, but I was
Oh,
a
okay. Well,
Texan all my life.
okay. We might have similar stories, but I grew up in Chicago and then moved to Texas when I was almost 40.
Uh-huh.
So I gotta say, California and Texas, how do I say it, is as simple as possible. In Texas, you can't walk into a Walmart and people don't stare at you and look at you weird if you don't look like them or act like them. In California, nobody gives a fuck.
Yeah.
And you can take those two opposites and then pull the layers of, you know, like an onion, just keep pulling them away and you'll see the difference, the prejudice, the attitude, the open-mindedness, you know, I mean, when I walk down the street here in the neighborhood I live in Lake Balboa, it's, you know, it's a lot of white people. And, you know, there's no policeman riding around pulling me over, asking me, what am I doing in this neighborhood? Which happened to me all the time in Texas. Or, you know, anytime I saw a policeman, I was getting pulled over.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, if I'm riding on the road and he comes out behind me, he's gonna pull me over. Don't If I drive a mile, I drive the speed limit, do what I have to. He'll figure some way out. Here, I look over the policeman, they ain't even look at me, they're on their phone.
No. Yeah.
But
I
if we call for a policeman, there 20 of them are here in a second. You
yeah.
know, I
Yeah.
mean, so
I
even little old ladies, you know, in Texas, a little old lady walked by me and grabbed her purse. Out here, a little old lady looks up at me and says, "How you doing? It's a nice day, isn't it?"
exactly right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I always tell people you know, I grew up in Texas. I'm from Texas. I love where I'm from, but I also hate where I'm from.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Oh, yeah, because you're Texas proud. There's something about coming from Texas. You're not an American, you're a Texan. And I
Yeah.
get it because I lived there for a long ass time. So I became a Texan. You know, I remember I was watching something, America's Got Talent or something. This little kid was on there, like 4 years old, singing, and it was really high pressure. And the kid wasn't the greatest. And they had to tell him. And he was crying. And I sat there thinking, man, his parents, man, why do they do this to him? Why do they push this little boy to do this? Oh, I can't believe it's going to, you know. And then they says, where are you from? He says, Dallas, Texas. And I go, oh, he's from Texas. And all of a sudden it was like different.
Yeah.
And that was a moment when I realized you're a Texan, Douglas. And I was out here in LA when that happened.
Oh man, let's I'm gonna get into a few questions. First of all, man, I've wanted to talk to you for about a year now. I've been reaching out and props to Tony Pranero who hooked us up.
Tony, awesome. I love
He's a
Tony.
great guy, isn't he?
Oh, you're the one. Okay, cool.
Yeah. Um,
I hate looking at myself because it's backwards, and
yeah.
so I'm always pulling the wrong way to get
Yeah.
this right. Anyway,
I
sorry,
have a
sorry.
problem looking at the camera. Like I'm always looking down.
Yeah, I'm down too. Look at there, I am looking stupid. Hey, were you looking at that ghost down there?
Right.
They
But
should have the camera right there in the
I
middle.
should have it right here in the middle of the
You
screen.
know, why don't they? They could.
Mhm. These things are
And
designed to follow us all around, and they can't put a camera that catches you looking at it.
no, I think that they saved it for maybe 3 more issue upgrades.
Yeah.
Because so they got to keep. It's all about making money. They probably have it. They just decided, well, let's do this in 6 years.
Yeah. Well, man, first of all, I'm a huge fan of your kingsx. I got into you guys when I was about 16 years old.
Oh,
These I'm going to be honest. This is I wanted to I've followed you guys for a long time, but I got into you guys because some Christian kids turned me on to you guys.
mm-hmm.
So they were
Bless
telling
your
me about
heart.
this Christian band, but you guys didn't sound like Petra or Barren
Mm-hmm.
Cross or any of these other. I don't want to say they were cheesy Christian bands.
Cheesy. They were cheesy
They were
Christian
cheesy,
bands. Most
but
Christian bands are
you
cheesy, except
guys,
like
I couldn't
Resurrection
think.
Band. Huh? Go ahead. Sorry.
I couldn't like your music was so progressive, and it was. I mean, there were religious undertones in the lyrics,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
but you guys were labeled a Christian band for a long time.
Yeah. We still are.
Still?
Yeah. I mean, people that really never kept up with us. I do interviews all the time, and it always comes up. And it's always has come up from the time we started making music.
Mm-hmm.
And I look back now and go, I couldn't change a thing. Wouldn't want to change a thing, but I have learned a lot from them about how, what you do and how it affects the people around you.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, being in the Christian music world, I was really done with it after playing with Phil Keaggy. I was one of these believers that just believed everybody was supposed to be perfect, and all you did was sat around and praised God and prayed and read your Bible, and that's all you did. I
Yeah.
mean, that was the way I was. The Jesus freaks. That's all we did.
Yeah.
And when I got around these rock bands, I'm going, they're like everybody else. They cuss, they drink, they smoke, they do these things that I'm told I can't do. And I'm going, what's going on? And then I saw egos. I saw people hating on each other and stuff like that on some of these just big Christian bands that were selling millions at the time. And at that, we did a festival at Oral Roberts University with when we were playing with Phil Keaggy, Jerry and I was. And so you can imagine it was a evangelical festival. So
Mm-hmm.
it was, I mean, there was every major Christian band was there, but Bill Gaither probably. But I mean, it was big, and that's where I saw the machine. And then we played with Morgan Cryer before that. Before we got a record deal, we were Morgan Cryer's band, and he was like the new up and coming teeny bob Christian guy. And so we went out and played as his band, and we did Heritage Farm with Bill and Jim and Tammy Baker. And going to that place, that was the first time I thought, now this must be how Jesus felt when he went into the temple. Because, dude, I had never seen so much Jesus junk with dollar signs on it in my life. It was the tackiest, the cheapest. There was Jesus wine, Jesus makeup, Jesus soap, anything you can think of. There was Holy Spirit, this or that, and it
It's
was.
like a band
And
merch table.
no, it was a band merch table that was as big as Walmart.
Wow.
That's what I'm saying. It wasn't
Yeah.
just a little place. I mean, this was Heritage Farm, and this was the Walmart store of Jesus junk in on the compound with the hotels and
Mm-hmm.
where all the people come. So I don't know if you remember all that, but it was a pretty big deal back in the day because they made a lot of money. It was on TV and stuff. But anyway, through all that, when we left Phil, which was not because of anything religious, just Phil let us go. He just rocked too hard, and the Christian world couldn't deal with us. I mean, we went out with Morgan Cryer after that, and they wouldn't let us come back. They said, Morgan, come back, but don't bring your band. Because they felt like we were in the flesh. Because I mean, I had a mohawk. We played like kingsx. I mean, we came out there and stomped your brains. And kids are going, "This is a Christian band," And the pastors didn't want us back. And so at that point, we even before that, we really had agreed. The three of us said we were not going to be a Christian band or do Christian things ever again, and we haven't. I mean, even when uh, Cornerstone would have wanted, they always wanted us to play, and it would have been huge.
Mm-hmm.
But we said if we do that, then we're branded, and it's over.
Yeah.
And And the thing about that was I did not want to be branded. I just wanted people to like the music that we made because we made good music. I didn't want that Jesus name on it because I knew that put that Jesus name on there, and all of a sudden you're only going to play for the people, and
Yep.
you're gonna have to sing the things that they want to hear, because they're not going to let you say anything that's really going to ruffle anybody's feathers, you know.
Yeah.
And I think all three of us in the band are severe have a severe fear of being controlled. Because there's if you come in and try to steer us this way or that way, we'll resist just to resist.
Yeah.
We're pretty hard, but we learned that, and so when we did come out, it was cool because Christian kids were like losing their minds, and we were the. I remember people were telling us that we were the conversation for a lot of the youth groups. Are they Christian or are they not? And for me, is like I wanted to write about my faith, but I wanted to write it in a way that was innovative and didn't sound Christian. Just
Yeah.
didn't sound Christian.
Yeah.
And the biggest inspiration of that was when I heard U2, October. I
Mhm.
listened to that record, and Bono sung about his faith at the top of his lungs in an elegant, beautiful way that the world listened to and learned from, and actually found love. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? And I'm going, now this is what you're supposed to be, real.
Yeah.
Just be real. And so that's what kingsx set out to be, and to our achievement and to our faults.
But you guys all came up in a Christian background, right?
No, Ty and I did. We grew
Okay.
up Christian all our life. Jerry did not grow up in a Christian family at all. He
Yeah.
got saved when he was about 17.
Yeah.
And
I did too. I was brought up in a
mhm,
very like bit a different type of Christian, the type of
yeah.
Christian that you do whatever you want all week, but on Sunday it's going to be okay.
Oh, that's a black religion. I grew up in the black gospel church, most of my life, and that's where it was. Dance with the devil on Saturday and go to church on Sunday and ask for forgiveness. Yeah. And then, but I grew up in an all white town, and well, that was all white, but I mean, it was like 1% black, couple families, but most of the kids were Catholic. And so there was a Catholic church on the corner, and they all went there. So I mean, every Friday, most of the kids in my class brought fish,
Mhm.
because you don't eat meat on Friday. So it's like I've been around religion my whole life, and I've had questions, and no one could give me answers. They just told me believe, just believe. And I'm going, I'm not that kind of person. You got
Yeah.
to show me something. I ain't like that. So yeah,
Yeah, I think
I
at
don't know
some
where we're
point
going with that,
we
but
yeah, no, I think at some point we our eyes open. Like I know um good people who are call themselves Christians that are really good-hearted people. And
some of
then I
my
know
best
people
friends.
so I know Christians
Hmm.
who are fucking terrible people,
Yes,
you know?
yes. I say it like this. Some people ask when we talk about musicians, and somebody say, "I can't believe somebody is an asshole," and I'm going, "Wait a minute, musicians. Just because you're a musician doesn't mean you're this person." It's like musicians are like everybody else. There's
Yeah.
assholes and there's nice people. There's nice Christians. There's bad Christians. There's nice pastors. There's pastors who, are narcissists and only want your money. And
Yeah.
we see them every day. Only thing that pisses me off is I just wish I could stop them. But then you go, but these dumbass people believe this shit.
I know.
At some point in my life, I said, well, they're just gonna, that's their life, it ain't mine.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what are you gonna do? Can't
Right.
save the world. I finally realized I can't save the world.
Yeah.
I
Uh
have that. I'm one of those type people. And I wear the world on my sleeve. I'm thinking I can go out there and save it in the back of my mind. Some of us are like that. I don't.
does
Is
that
that
keep you up
weird?
at night?
It keeps me thinking a lot,
Yeah.
a lot. Even about politics. It's like I would even run for president, but I don't feel like dealing with what I'd have to go through to do it. Because
Yeah.
it's like I look at I'm a I try to look at the world in two ways from both sides. I mean, not just kind of, but I mean, dig down in it. If I've got friends who are left, I want to find out why you're a MAGA and what you believe and what brought you here, because I know you're not a horrible person, but you believe this stuff. So what is it?
Yeah.
What is it, and how did you get here to help me understand this?
Yeah.
And instead of, I watched this guy, this politician, he's a Republican. And this guy is so right on about things that it's kind of scary because he divides the truth left and right, and he's right. And nobody likes him because of it. And even when he argues with someone from the left or from the right, they don't hear what he says. They're arguing with things that they think. And when he gives them the facts and says, you're right on this and you're right on this, but you're wrong here and you're wrong here.
Mm-hmm.
And they won't listen. And
No.
that's the point. It's like nobody's listening anymore. Nobody wants to reason. It's like they don't care. If the sun came up, just because you said it came up, I'm going to say it didn't.
Yeah.
And I'm going, what has convinced you that the sun's not up there? Tell me, help me. Help me to not see so I can understand. That's all I
Yeah.
want to do.
I truly
Anyway.
believe that there's a far right, and there's a far left, and everyone in the middle is is seeing things for what they are, and they can see the wrong
Most
and
of
the
us
right.
are in the middle.
Most
Most
of
of
us,
us in the middle,
and
I think.
I've heard the saying, like, the loudest one in the room is the weakest one in the room.
It's
And
true.
so you're looking at both right and left.
Yes. And it's one bad apple doesn't spoil the whole bunch. And
Yeah.
I'm from both sides. There are people I'm going, there's a lot of these issues that I'm down the middle on.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like I feel anybody has a right to change their sex because they believe that they're a woman. That's their right. But I don't believe that you should let the child do it until he's 18. She knows what they're doing.
Yeah.
Just they can wait. We have to wait till we can drink.
Yeah.
We have to, and it's like nurture them, love them, and help them to transition into it. But let's not just make these blanket laws, because now we find out there's these kids that have gotten changed, and all of a sudden their lives are terrible, and they don't want to be that anymore. And now
Yeah.
hormones have fucked them up, and now they can't go back. That's not fair either. So
Yeah.
what my point is, everybody has a voice. How do we give everybody what they need and convince them that this is what you need? You don't need to change your sex at 5. Change it when you're 18. I didn't know about sex till I was 10 or 11. I know that I grew up in the 50s, so I was late. But the point is, it's like I'm an old fashioned person. It's like I feel like let people develop
Mm-hmm.
and grow into wise old adults, and give them the chance.
Yeah.
Let them learn, let them gently guide them in love and care,
Yeah.
and well, that's a thing of the past. So
Yeah.
next.
um, Man, I've got a couple of questions. kingsx always had this shroud of mysteriousness about them.
Yeah.
From Ty covering up his pedals so no one could see what he was doing.
God.
But I'd heard these stories that in between albums or tours, you would just go on these walks like Kane from Kung Fu, and like these spiritual walks to is that
I
true?
love it. I love it. Okay. This is so good. That's a good one. I got to remember that. Okay, here's the deal. I used to talk about a certain period of my life, around the Dogman. The first 4 or 5, maybe, at least 4, yeah, up to Dogman. I'll say that. No, up to Ear Candy too. Okay, I lived in an apartment complex, and there was this place, a bayou, down in Texas, the bayous, and so I used to go walking a lot. I like to go walking. It helped me think. And the thing was, back in the day when I smoked weed all the time, but I'm pretty chronic on it now. But back then, I'd wait till the evening,
Mm-hmm.
and doing what we did. I didn't do anything but stay home all day and write music with my 4-track, and I would write songs all day. And then around 4 or 5 o'clock, when I was sick of the song, and it was like, this is crap. Why am I doing this? I'd roll a joint, go for a walk. And I'd walk out the house, and about 3 blocks, I was at the edge of the city. And then there was just nothing but fields. And in the bayou, and there was electrical thing, big electrical towers and went by, and you're out in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
And so I would go out there walking, smoke the joint, put my headphones on, make a cassette of the song, and hear it. And when back in the day, when I hit that joint and get high, everything changes. And I could hear it for what it was, because it was
Mhm.
like, my ADD just, and I would hear it and see if it was a good song or it sucked or what I needed to do could change it or whatever. And so that's where that came from. And on what is it? I take the longest walk, they all always do me good. I just control myself. And Dog Man, yeah. Somebody asked me about that song, and yeah, it was about walking and thinking about things. That's where I ponder when I walk. If I'm listening to music or just thinking or talking to the universe or God or just trying to figure things out. And the other song was one morning walking down the street when nobody walk. Oh yeah, what was it? God, World Around Me. That's the other song. I mean, literally, that's what I'm doing, walking down where nobody walks and nobody can hear. I heard a sound so clear, the world around me. I remember I was walking down the pathway and I didn't have music on, and I started hearing just the noises of everything. And I just stopped and I closed my eyes and I listened. And after about 30 seconds, the world had a pattern and there was a sound. And it was just, it was the most incredible thing I'd ever heard. And that was the first time I realized that everything has music.
Yeah.
So yeah, so World Around Me, that's what that song came from. So people ask me questions, I say, you go walking a lot, and I go, yeah, I used to do that a lot. I don't do it, haven't done it since I got here in California, but I did it every night. I watched the sunset. Another thing too is in the lyric, I watched the sunset every night and everyone was best. I always would go walking when the sun was coming down, and I had it timed. Even as the earth shifted, I go out at 5:15, 5:20. I knew when the sun would go down. I'm really cute to the way the
Yeah.
earth moves because of that. Um, and so, yeah, I go out walking, and that was a perfect time. And so, yeah, I guess I did write about it and talk about it. And so, if you talk about things, people always hear what they want to hear and embellish it. And so
Yeah.
that story is pretty cool. So
So you'll have to remember that.
I will.
But
That's
it's
pretty
that
cool.
whole thing that you write a song, it means one thing to you, but it means something different to
Yeah,
thousands of
this
people.
God. He's this guru. He goes for these long marathon walks, like
Yeah, they
months
made it sound like you just
when you're
walked
not
the earth.
around. Oh my God! Now I know people have done that. They've gone up to Tibet and met with monks and hung out with them and stuff. But I know I don't think of that shit. You
Yeah.
know, all that's just another religion to me.
Yeah.
Find yourself.
Where did the kingsx name come from?
I hated that name. Sam Taylor came up with that name. His brother's band was called kingsx in the '70s, and they
Uh,
never got a record deal. And we were called Sneak Preview at the time, which sucked. We were called The Edge at first, and we were together for like 4 years. And then our other guitar player quit, Kirk, and we decided to stay a three-piece band. And we thought, well, let's change our name because I saw a record bin, a band called The Edge. So there's a band out there called The Edge, and this is before YouTube.
yeah.
Um, and so we changed our name, and the three of us, when it comes to having to decide on a name or something like that, we can't do it. Somebody just has to have the coolest thing in the world, and everybody goes, I like it, or we'll just talk about it for hours and hours until it turns into so stupid that we can't get an answer. So we were trying to make up a name for a new name. And we went around the block with so many names that we ended up with Sneak Preview because we were just tired of arguing. And we knew it. And so our first three-piece gig in Springfield, Missouri, as a three-piece, all our friends are there. We have our small little fan base in town. And we come on stage and go, we have a new name. And Jerry does a drum roll. And I go, we are called Sneak Preview. Nobody clapped. We did a whole new set of songs, three-piece. It was probably one of the worst gigs we ever did. Jerry's best friend came up to him and said, dude, I feel sorry for you. But we rebounded and, we worked it out. But when we got to Texas, And we did all the things with Morgan Cryer and worked with the Christian record label and stuff. And then met Sam and we got a record deal. Sam said, look, you can't be called Sneak Preview. You got to have come up with a name. We couldn't come up with a name. And so Sam pushed kingsx and we finally gave in. You know, it was like, we didn't want to, but it was like, we couldn't think of nothing else. Nothing seemed to work. How do you rename yourself? You know, the Edges to me was our name, and that's it'll always be that. So, yeah, so we changed it to Sneak Preview and I hated it. And now it's, you know, I'm used to it.
So you've learned to live with kingsx.
Oh, yeah, it's just like my name. I used to think Douglas Theodore Pinnick was the stupidest name. Mom, why would a black woman name her child Douglas Theodore Pinnick? You know, and now I go, I like my name. Doug Pinnick. It rolls right off the tongue.
I looked up kingsx and it's a British term for timeout.
Yes, yes. And it's used in Texas.
Is it?
Yeah. If you're in a room and everybody's making a lot of noise and it's chaos, you know, up north, somebody whistle. They put the two fingers in and go, you know. Down in Texas, you cross your fingers, go, kingsx, kingsx, and everybody shuts up.
Yeah.
And I saw it happen once where a person did that and I went, it's true. Because we didn't know if it was the truth or not. Sam told us that story. And we had never seen anybody in Texas do that.
Right on.
But it was done one time.
So you guys, I mean, your albums, you listen to Out of the Silent Planet, Gretchen, I mean, the harmonies are there.
Mm-hmm.
Was that always there from day one? Is that something you guys really focused on? Because
we'd
go see you guys live, and they were there.
Mm-hmm. Well, we didn't focus on them. We never did focus until Sam came along. But we always harmonized. I remember I pulled out an old Edge tape back in '82 when we had Kirk playing guitar with us, and we were doing "Talk to You Later" by the Tubes, 3-part harmonies, just nailing it. I mean, it was like I sat there going, whoa, I didn't realize we were doing it even back then. You know, so what happened was when Kurt left, we didn't have 3 parts anymore. So I sang, I wrote most of the songs at that time in the early days. And so I just sang them, and Ty would do harmonies if he felt like it, but it wasn't a big deal. And then when we started writing new songs and Sam Taylor came in the picture when we moved to Texas, he really pressured us all to sing a lot. And Jerry didn't sing, and Jerry didn't like to sing, didn't want to sing. So Sam made Jerry sing, and that's what made who we are. But people want to say that it was Sam Taylor that made us all sing. No, we always sang. You know, everything I wrote, I had harmonies going, and Ty did too. We've always been that way. Ty loves the Beatles, and he always loved the way John and Paul used to do their harmonies. He always used to talk about it. And I grew up in choir at church and in school, and was the whole time I grew up, before I even played an instrument, they taught me chords and how to sing parts, and you know, and I used to sing in contests as a little kid, so you know, I knew all that stuff and show tunes and how to construct harmonies. I was just one of those kids, so it was fun. So you know, that just became a part of kingsx. I think that the cool thing about, you know, hooking up with these guys is we're adventurous. You know, they don't say no to anything. We'll give it a try. You know, no matter how crazy it is, we'll go for it. And that's what I love about those guys. They're not uptight about that. My music teacher told me in college, I did 1 semester of music theory in college, and then I quit. The first thing he said was, if you don't remember anything from this class, remember this one thing, that all rules in music are made to be broken. So now let's learn. And that's something I never forgot. And that's a part of everything I write, is break the rules. That's why everything I do has a little twist to it, because I can't, I got to put my mark on it. Like a dog, I got to piss on it. You know, I just got to do it. And I think I play with 2 guys who like that. I don't know if they would do that or not, but we have grown into it, you know, of just having fun. Now, I remember when I met Ty, I'd go over to his dorm at college, and he'd always be playing records and playing along to him. He'd play along with Thin Lizzy, No for No. Then he'd put Dixie Dregs on there, and all of a sudden he's going, and I'm going, yes, he was 18, and I'm thinking this guy can do anything. Going, let's play, and playing. And Jerry played with Phil Keaggy, and that's where I met him. And I wasn't didn't know a lot about drums back then when it came to exact speeding up, slowing down, what's really going on. I just grooved. And everybody kept saying, "Wait till you meet this drummer, man." And they just described him as this amazing, the same stories you hear now about Jerry. And I had never seen or met Jerry. So I remember going into rehearsal and we did the whole set of Phil Keaggy. And then after we got done, Greg Voles from Petra, who was the singer of the band at the time, came up and says, "What do you think of him? Isn't he amazing? Oh my God, he's just incredible." And I kind of went, okay. I it just I was oblivious. I really was to any of it. But I remember when Phil left, I said, "Hey, let's stick together." And he goes, "Okay." And we've been playing ever since. And I do appreciate him now, and I get it. I really do, and I'm thankful for it. But in the early days, no, I didn't know. I just wanted to play with him because I liked him. Ty too, we didn't. We're just young kids who wide-eyed thinking we'll get a record deal and be as big as the Beatles.
And you got your record deal.
Yeah, we did several, and we're called legends if that's, and so we can't argue with that. No matter what happened, when somebody calls you that, it means something. You affected somebody. So, at the end of the day, we can go with that.
Jeff Ament has fucking said that you guys invented grunge.
I love Jeff.
Around that time, I never saw you guys with grunge bands. I saw you guys with Anthrax, Motley Crue. Like you guys did a lot of rock.
There was no grunge. Grunge came. Alice in Chains came out in what, 90?
90, yeah. And I bet.
Oh, okay. So we had 3 records out at that time. Yeah. Okay, so there was nobody drop D tuned. It was just us, and Soundgarden was doing some drop D stuff in Seattle, on Sub Pop, and the Melvins were tuning down too. But there was this little pocket up there in Seattle with all these other bands calling themselves punk. So they were doing this thing. Because I've talked to Kim Fells about that, because Ty showed me drop D tuning in '85, and Kim showed Chris Cornell drop D tuning in '85, and on our first major records, kingsx and Soundgarden, Ultra Mega, okay, the first songs start out with this weird noises and then the riff comes out. kingsx drop D tune, da-da-da-dun, da-da-dun. Soundgarden was dun dun da 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 or something like that. What was it? It was so it was hands up. No, it wasn't hands all over. What was it? Anyway, if you put the record on, it was like the same band. And I remember Soundgarden came to town when right before that record came out. And our record had just come out, and my roommate was working sound at this little club. And he called me up and said, "Doug, there's this band from Seattle playing, and they kind of remind me of you guys. So you should come down and check them out." And I didn't go. And I said, "Oh man, if they got a tape or something, bring it home." And he brought it home, and it was the one before Ultra Mega OK, or was it Ultra Mega OK? I can't remember now. So I still didn't get it because they were kind of doing a thing that we were doing, like retro everything. I put that first record on, I'm going, what the fuck were they thinking? And then I go, well, I'll put a kingsx record on, first record, the same thing. We were both bands were out there. I mean, we were channeling Black Sabbath and the Beatles, and the Soundgarden was channeling Black Sabbath and the Sex Pistols, and it was like just a new thing that was happening. So anyway, I do believe though it was us that kind of introduced drop D tuning to a lot of musicians. And then when Alice in Chains came out with the drop D, and we knew them, and we played in Seattle before all that happened. Jeff will tell you the story, and Richard Stewart, he said when we came to Seattle on our first record, he said everybody came to see us because nobody ever came to Seattle. And he said, and all the bands in town hated each other, but they all came to see us, and most of them didn't even know much about us. He said they were all there. You name those bands that are grunge bands, they were all there. Just
Yeah.
name bands. I met Alice in Chains there. They gave me their demo. I met uh, some of the guys from Mother Love Bone, because there was no Pearl Jam at the time.
Yeah.
So it was like when
That Alice in Chains demo is very glammy.
the demo is glammy. When they gave it to me, I'm thinking, wow, this is weird. And then the record came out, and the first song I heard was "We Die Young," and I'm
Yeah.
going, there it is. I remember when I heard it on MTV, the commercial, and when I heard it, I'm going, okay, I gotta go buy this. It was at like midnight, and I went to the music store and bought it because I had forgotten that I had met them and knew them at all, but it was so familiar. The music was.
Yeah.
It was like, this is kind of us in some ways in the dark side. And I remember that even Kerrang called Alice in Chains kingsx in Hell. And but they brought their thing. They took an influence of us and spun it in a whole different way from all their influences and what they listened to, and brought it to the world. And from that point, I think that's when everybody started drop D tuning, because Alice in Chains fucked everybody up. When that record came out, there wasn't a person's head that didn't turn to that and go, because they brought it down to ground zero. kingsx was doing this complicated stuff that was over people's heads, but Alice in Chains just came down and said, no, kingsx, you got the right idea, but let's bring it to the kids. And it's like, yeah, Scary's in town.
Yeah.
And it was over. It really was. And saved my life. Jesus Christ. I'm going, listen to this song. This is the Christian song that I wish I could have written. I'm thinking, what if I had written that song and put that out on the first record? Oh my God. And I love that band. Me and Jerry especially played the shit out of Alice in Chains, and we still do. And Jerry told me this. I told Jerry one time, I said, man, we played the shit out of you guys back in the day. And he says, we played the shit out of you guys too. And we just cracked up laughing.
Yeah.
And it's
I
cool,
saw that. I'm sure you're familiar with Dallas City Limits. I saw you guys there with Galactic Cowboys. I went to see Extreme there on their Three Sides to Every Story, and Alice in Chains was the opening band.
Yeah.
And I remember me and my friends were like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah. Did you like them?
Oh, man, yes.
Good. See, they played the night before that in the shithole club in Houston. I went to see them. There was 20 people there. The stage was so low that the 20 people standing in front of the band, you couldn't see the band. Okay, we got there. There was nobody watching Alice in Chains, and I watched them. I sat at the bar and watched them. I mean, 10 steps and it was the stage. It was like that small. And when they got done playing, me and Laney started drinking. And Extreme came on, and the kids stood around the stage, and we couldn't see the band at all. And the only time you saw Gary, the singer, was when he stood on the drum riser, and you could see him. And then he'd be on the floor again singing. And so me and Laney just sat there drinking and got drunk. And then and we've been friends. We were friends ever since. The whole band, like Laney said to Jerry one time, he says, keep writing great songs so we can keep ripping you off. And I think it's gonna rain. He said, dude, I'm doing you. I think I'm gonna rain.
Yeah.
And I'm going, I said, dude, you're doing better than me. I can't do that. Yeah. I couldn't. I when I put it on, I tried to sing along to it and I couldn't. Laney had a powerful voice.
He had a great range.
Oh yeah. Such a great range. Jeez.
So on that subject, man, you said that you're called legends, which rightfully so. You're respected by your peers, other bands, your fans of stuff. You guys have some of the craziest fans. I'm one of them.
Bless your heart.
I've been trying to get a hold of you for a year.
Oh, I'm sorry. Well, it was.
And I actually know people who know you.
Yeah, because I'm easy. I mean, I see him all the time. We go on tour. All he had to do was say, Doug. I mean, that's what Tony did. Doug, I don't want to bug you, but will you do me a favor? It's a friend of mine. He wants, he does a podcast and blah, 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 blah. And I go, just set it up. Let's do it. And it's like what we do.
Yeah.
So got nothing else to do.
you've got all this respect from, like I said, the peers, the fans. In my opinion, you've never gotten a lot of respect from the industry.
No.
Like, what would you rather have? Would you
I
rather
would.
have the industry backing and the millions of dollars, or this fucking real legacy that you have?
Yeah, I would love to have both.
Good answer.
But you can't have one. You can't have both. And if somebody, if there was a God and he says, okay, I'm going to pull you out and say, if you have a choice, which would you take? I would take the path that I've taken because I'm settled.
Yeah.
At 72 years old, I know who I am as best I can, and I'm okay with me now. And it took me 70 years to be okay with me, and that's what drove me to be me, and made me who I am, and drove me to do what I do,
Yeah.
in what I did. And without that, I don't know what I would have been.
Yeah.
I mean, if I, childhood growing up, everything matters when you end up becoming obsessed with the thing that you do.
Yeah.
And so I wouldn't change a thing. What was I going to say though?
If you'd rather have
Yeah.
the, yeah.
Well, the thing is, I wouldn't change a thing because I'm okay. Financially too, not rich. I live from month to month like everybody else, but I can write lyrics out and people will pay me. I put a new record out, people will buy the record just
Mhm.
enough.
Yeah.
I've written enough songs where, every 6 months a royalty check will come in. It might be $100 or more, maybe a lot more. You never know, but you don't know, but it always comes. And
Yeah.
that's what I'm happy about, is like, it's finally coming. It's always going to trickle in. What we've done, there's always going to be somebody buying bits and pieces of it. Just like
Mhm.
AC/DC's Back in Black, people don't stop buying that stuff. And that's the legacy of doing what a musician does. I try to tell a lot of musicians that too. It's like, you don't get paid till you die. And I'm not saying it, don't mean it that way. I say it as a laugh, but you
Yeah.
get paid late.
Yeah.
It's like after everybody else gets paid, then you get paid, and it
You're
takes a
last on
while.
the list, even though you're doing all the work.
Just like your house, just like your business.
Right. Um, I got a couple of questions. You brought up earlier Texas, the racism you faced when you
Hmm.
were in Texas, and you also came out as gay early on. Was there any backlash within the industry towards you? First of all,
No.
you were a black man playing some of the most progressive rock
Yeah.
music there was around. You started a genre all your own. Nobody sounds like kingsx. Nobody. People may, bite your shit here and there,
Hmm.
but nobody sounds like you guys. Like I said, Ty with his mystery pedals and
Yeah.
Jerry in the pocket, and the harmonies.
I was the only black kid in my grade school when I graduated.
Mhm.
And when I moved to the next city, which was 30 miles away, and when I moved in with my mother, I moved into a black neighborhood, which was about 4 blocks long, and I went to a brand new school, and it was maybe 20% black kids that went to school. So I just never really was around the culture. Now I have 300 relatives. I mean, no, I'm black. I know how to be it, and I'm used to it. But my life was always, just geared to the people that I hung out with all the
Yeah.
time and what we did in rock and roll. And what happened with rock and roll was, Jimi Hendrix came along, Band of Gypsies, Funkadelic, 71, 70. And I'm going, okay, this is the kind of music that I want. I'm a black man playing funk music on 12. That's what I want to do. And I was there. And all of a sudden, Jimmy's gone. Funkadelic goes disco. And all of a sudden, everybody black turns to Ohio players and Commodores. And I'm sitting there going, what happened to the power, the black power,
Yeah.
and all of a sudden this white kid comes over my house and puts on a Led Zeppelin record and says, check this out. And I heard dun, 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 dun. And I went, that sounds like Booker T and the MGs on 15.
Hmm.
I'm in. And as far as I'm concerned, I play soul music, heavy fucking soul music, and that's the way I look at it. And it might be prog, it might be this, it might be that, but to me, it's just hard soul music.
Yeah. So did you ever experience any backlash or?
Oh yeah, the question. I went around. God, I went
No,
outside the
that's
box
fine.
on that one. Okay, no. Here's the deal. I feel like Michael Stipe from REM. They asked him a question one time, and they said, "So, have you ever had any trouble, backlash about being gay?" And he says, "Well, I never talked about it. I never thought about it. I just figured everybody knew and just didn't care." And that's where I've always been with it. Um, I didn't actually come out. What happened was this Christian magazine started talking about stuff, and I got tired of it. I got tired of the bullshit, and I said, "I'm just gonna just throw this at them.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gay." That's what I said, and they put it in the book. The Christian bookstores banned kingsx records, and it was over, and we celebrated because we said, "No, we don't have to deal with this.
Yeah.
We can go be ourselves." And I was okay with that. Um, you know, Growing up in the 50s and 60s, oh yeah, I struggled with it. It was a big part of my depression. But Ty and Jerry found out, and they said, "We love you, and we don't care." And we never parted.
Yeah.
But everybody else in the band left that worked with the band, and everybody, they were all Christians. One person said, "God told me not to come back in the house and sleep here in my room because you're gay."
Hmm.
I mean, it broke me down. It was my biggest nightmare because I knew back in the 80s, if you came out with Christians, oh, you were going to get murdered.
Hmm.
And the people that were around me did that. The handful close people that we worked with, but the only two people or three people, the person who told everybody I was gay, apologized too, because I told him not to tell anybody, because I told him he was one of the only people that ever knew. And he just kept bugging me and bugging me, and I finally told him, "This is the reason why I act like I'm depressed, or this is the reason why I ain't married, or whatever," because he was always said, "You're a mystery. I don't understand you," and so yeah, and but after that, like I said, Tom and Jerry, I actually went out the back door of my house and ran to the park. I jumped on my bicycle and took off crying, and I remember that the other guys in the band that worked with the band took off to a gay bar to see if I had went there. I didn't even know there's a gay bar in Springfield, Missouri. It's like it's so bullshit. The bullshit. And I look
Yeah.
back now and go, yeah, it was. And they've all apologized to me.
Yeah.
They all have, and we've hugged, and a couple people even had tears. He says, "Dude, remember back then? I'm so sorry, man. I had." And they're really sorry. And that's a true Christian, because they're all still believers.
Yeah.
And they've all told me, "I love you and I don't care. I've grown up, Doug." And they'll
Yeah.
tell me that, and so it's just but anyway, other than that, I got nothing from anybody else. Most people don't even know. If I see it in an article somewhere, somebody go, "I didn't know he was gay." Somebody go, "I love Kings. That's blah, blah. I didn't know Doug was gay." And they go, "You didn't know? Where you been? Under a rug?" And then all of a sudden, keep talking about stuff. Or somebody will go, "Man, that's terrible that they banned the records when he came out." And somebody else will come on and go, "Man, but they didn't ban it when he wrote, 'I think I lost my faith looking for love.'" Because I was singing about not being a Christian back in the early days, and they kept, they weren't
The
listening,
records.
and that's the hypocrisy of it all,
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
of that aspect. I've stopped being so angry at the church and blaming everyone.
Yeah.
When somebody said, "Why are you so mad?" I said, "I threw the fucking baby out with the bathwater. Okay, so hate me for it," and I walked away. And I've had to revive that baby in some ways and nurture it, and accept it, and
We were talking about Lane's voice. You have quite possibly one of the most recognizable voices. I mean, your range ain't nothing to fuck with either.
Thank you.
You filled in for Corey Glover,
Mm-hmm.
Living Color Tour, because he was off doing a Broadway thing. Have you ever been asked or ever been interested in doing something like that? I think you could do it, man.
Well, I was asked to join Kansas when Steve Walsh quit. I was asked to join Deep Purple when uh, what in '88. Richie Blackmore called me up, and then Living Color asked me to do that for them, but this was just a week of
Mhm.
shows, and I said I can do that. But I told those other bands, I'm not, I don't want to join you, and I can't be me. That's the whole
Yeah.
point. I was in King's X. It's like I'm not going to sing somebody else's songs and deal with the backlash and everything. And besides that, I didn't have the confidence to say, oh, I'm just go up there and nail Smoke on the Water. I
Yeah.
probably could, but I didn't care. You know, why would I sing that? So, yeah, I've been,
Would you consider doing something
it's,
like a Broadway if it was a presented?
I was asked to do Jesus Christ Superstar after Corey, and I watched what he did and said, no, never. This is not what I signed up for. I'm
Yeah.
not an actor. I'm not an opera singer. I'm not a person. I've done it. I tried it. No, I have tried all those things because I grew up as a kid singing show tunes, and I sang in contests and stuff, Blue Moon and stuff like that. I mean, this is the '50s, so I listened to a lot of music back then, and where am I going with this? I'm spacing out here.
Why you wouldn't take a why you turned down the Broadway Jesus Christ
Oh
Superstar?
yeah, okay. So I did that. Okay, so I did that stuff,
This
and I
is the
was in.
perfect conversation because I
Okay,
do the
thank you.
same
Yeah.
thing.
Okay, because I kind of did that stuff. I was in the play in school, high school, Brigadoon, and I did all those things. And I remember that I did it because it was a part of music and a part of what I did. Because back when you're young, you just do it all,
Hmm.
and try to be the best you can at it. But I noticed that I didn't gravitate to it. And then I remember I was 18 or 19, I think it was. And this group called the Spurlos came to town. And they were like a group called, it was kind of like things called Upward People, where they would take a bunch of kids straight out of high school and put a band together and put a bunch of singers like a boy girl band. Like it was like just a bunch of people. And they usually and played schools every day. They would
Hmm.
set up and do this whole show. And what this group did was they would go to schools and play a thing, and we do the pop tunes of the day, and we dance and sing. And there was like 8 singers and a whole full band, and we're all like 20, 21 years old. And being in that, I joined it and got in it. And after 6 months, I said, "This is not." It was we had to we it was choreographed. I mean,
Yeah.
we were doing choreographs and singing, and we each had our own wireless mic, and it was 8 of us who sang, and it was like it was just crazy. And I actually left early, and got back in another band. Said, I ain't doing that no more. So that is the biggest reason. I will not. I will never do anything that I don't want to do.
Yeah.
You know.
And another thing about you, man, is the 12 string bass. Like that's become people see a 12 string bass and the first thing they say is, "Oh, it's like
I
Doug Pinnick's," you know.
love it. I love it
It's
because I
become part of your sound.
well, it isn't. It isn't. People don't realize is that I use the 12 string on a little over half of Faith, Hope, Love, and the 12 string on 3 songs on the 4th record, and the 12 string on 1 song on Dog Man. And I haven't played that 12 string on a record until Pray For Me, which was on XV.
Hmm.
Um, the reason people think that that 12 strings is a big part is because every video that we did in the early days, Sam made me play that 12 string,
Oh,
even though the 12 string wasn't even on the song. Sam said, "Bring your 12 string." I go, "Dude, I didn't play 12." And I goes, "Bring it anyway. Come on, you got to keep that image up." I'm going, "Okay." And I was like, and another thing too happened was when we played John Stewart right after Woodstock, when we played Dogman, and Jerry counted it off and give me $1, and my bass stopped working live on TV. We stopped. and I didn't bring a spare because we were only doing 2 songs.
Yeah.
And so, but my 12 string was there. So I grabbed the 12 string and played Dogman with the 12 string. It was the hardest thing in the world to play that song with the 12 string. And so if you ever see the Dogman song on John Stewart, I am playing a 12, which made everybody think I'm playing a 12 on it, but I'm not. My bass tone it has its own sound, and people think it's a 12, and it's not.
Yeah. He got a lot of high. You have some high end. It's not known to
Lots
be
of
the bass,
high end,
you
yeah.
know, but at the same time, it punches you in the face. I was
Yeah.
listening to Dogman the other day, and I'm like, how the fuck you do that on a 12 string? Now I know. Now I
Now you know it
know.
was only a 4, yeah. That's what
What does
we were.
kingsx have coming up?
Well, we're just, touring when possible, and, playing the record as much as possible. And other than that, that's it.
What does Doug Pinnick have coming up?
Doug Pinnick has KXM, Grinder Blues, a new solo record. I'm even thinking about putting out a bunch of old demos that I wrote years ago on a 4-track for the fun of it, just for fans, limited edition. I don't know. It's just like doing what I do. In fact, this is what I do. It's just hopefully we're gonna make another Doug pedal and put some new features on it. We've been talking about that. That would be nice.
And that's with Tech 21, right?
Yeah. I'm excited about that too. Yeah. And the pedal is what works. Nobody's gonna amps are pretty expensive, but those pedals, everybody's got a rig. But you take my pedal and plug into your rig, then you can make it what you want it to be. It won't be Doug anymore. You can get Doug if you want, but you can put it in your pedal board, with the rest of your stuff.
I have to check one out then.
Oh, I love it. I was talking to Robert Trujillo's son a couple of weeks ago. I went to see him play, and I said, "Man, you got my pedal?" He goes, "Yeah, it's in my pedal board." He says, and then he looked at me. He says, "I use it now and then to get that distorted thing, And then he puts his head down, he looks up and smiles, goes, "I use it a lot." And it was so cute. Because I got one for Robert, but Robert couldn't play it because Metallica is locked into all these endorsements and shit.
Yeah.
And he said, "Doug, I love your pedal, but I can't. They ain't gonna let me use this. We got all this stuff going." He's in the machine.
Yeah, that was a problem when he joined the band because he was a Warwick guy, but they were endorsed by ESP.
He had to change everything. Yeah. And Jeff Ament was the same way. Jeff bought my pedal, so he wouldn't have to. I mean, I'm not saying he did it on purpose, but Jeff bought the pedal. He didn't say, "Doug, can you send me one?" He bought it, and which was perfect because it didn't make me obligated to say, "Well, can you say something about it?" Because that's what I hate. And a lot of times companies want you, the artist, to go to your friends and say, "Oh man, would you tell people about my new pedal?" And I'm going, "No, I want them to talk about my pedal if they like it. I don't want to go ask them." I hate it when somebody says, "Can you say something? Give me a shout out about my new thing." And I'm going, "Well,
quid pro quo."
Yeah, it's like, well, what if I think it sucks and then you lose your friend?
Well, man, I could talk to you all night, but I know you're all.
And I can talk all night too, so he's terrible.
But thank you for doing this. Thank you for taking. Thank you for the miscommunication, understanding that earlier.
Oh, that's okay. That's what happens. You should. I'm slightly dyslexic and have ADD, so everything for me is it's a challenge. That's why Alex has to text me right before these, because I'll forget. I got it on the calendar on a note there, and I was doing my thing today, and I got this message from Alex says, "Dude, you got your thing in 5 minutes." I'm going, "Oh fuck," and hook everything up,
Man, my podcast, it's called Is Breakfast Included? And
I like it.
Thank you. If it was included, we were having breakfast right now, Doug, what would you have?
I would probably have a couple eggs over hard with some sausage and bacon.
Thank you so much for your time, man. It's an honor to talk to you. It's an honor to have you on the show.
Awesome.
And like I said, I hope we do cross paths.
We will.
Take care. Have a good night.
May the groove be with you.
All right. Bye.
Peace.
Doug Pinnick, kingsx. If they come to your town, please, please, please check them out. You won't be disappointed. Again, thanks to everyone who ordered some merch. is breakfast.bigcartel.com. Thanks again. Have a great day. We'll talk to you next week.